another episode of Become. And today I'm so excited for my guest because Veronica Jäger is my publishing partner. She played an instrumental part of my latest book, Become Empowered Echoes of Grace and Strength. But we're going to talk about that. But first of all, welcome, Veronica.
Thank you, Sabine. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me and inviting me. This is awesome.
Well, yeah, I can't wait to share your expertise and the experience that I had with the book Become Empowered and how instrumental it is or how important it is to work with someone who knows what they're doing. Because when I started my book, I had someone or a company that was just starting out and it just didn't work out between us. And without getting into details, I just wanted to give a lead up to how the two of us met, because my book was supposed to come out in April, and for some reason it got pushed back and pushed back, and then other things happened. But I had to make a decision to cut the ties from the first company that I worked with, because we would never made the deadline. And it's not just me, but I had 12 contributing authors who contributed their stories. And, I felt responsible for them as well. But luckily, through a friend, I got your name and we had an initial conversation, and that was so wonderful. And I felt it was just the right partnership. And indeed, it was, and it still is. So that's how we two got together. And you did it. You got everything done, like
Mhm.
just in time to get it published. So
Right,
um,
perfect.
just tell our listeners a little bit about you, your background, and how you got started with your publishing company.
Yeah, I've got my business is Journey Bound Publishing. I have been in the self-publishing industry for 15 years. And it's funny, Sabine, I shouldn't say it's funny. I get a lot of clients that come to me in your same situation. A lot of times they go with these. So in your situation, it was a little different because you went with a brand new type of publishing company. But I get a lot of authors that they think that they want to go the traditional publishing route. And that's great. That's awesome if you can get a really good deal. It's really tough to get a traditional publishing deal. It's really tough. And a lot of times, even if you get that deal, they expect you to have marketing in place, a budget, and honestly, they really want you to have a huge social media following. So
So
after a little
what is a
while,
tradition? Before you go any further, for our listeners to understand, what is a traditional book publishing deal?
yeah. So like a traditional publisher is going to be the big names, Penguin, Random House, HarperCollins. You know, when you go to Barnes and Noble, all like the big pretty books that are stacked up in the shelves or in like the center of the room, those are usually published books by traditional publishing houses. And in terms of a traditional publishing deal, they used to give you a lot more money up front. They don't usually give as much money these days because it's harder to make money selling a paperback or hardcover these days. But like a typical author that I come across that does get a traditional publishing deal, they might get maybe a $10,000 advance, if that. Sometimes they make a little bit more. Sometimes I've seen maybe 20,000, but that publishing house still expects that author to do some work and to do some publish or marketing on their own. They have to go to a lot of trade shows and things like that. And so what I've found in terms of authors that come to me with horror stories is they gave up on traditional publishing and they instead decided to go to like a vanity publisher. So a vanity publisher is basically a publisher that makes themselves seem like they're a traditional publisher. They show all these fancy books that they have, um, but you're paying 10, 15, $20,000 up front to get that book published. And then they keep royalties. That's the sticky part, is that they keep a lot of your royalties. Usually, they'll maybe pay you a 10% royalty. And again, they also will ask you to do a lot of the marketing, go to the trade shows and pay for delivery fees and storage fees for warehouses.
Why would
Versus
I do that? Why would I pay them 10 or 20,000 dollars and then they also keep the royalties?
they keep royalties, and they don't really do a lot of hand holding. I just spoke to someone yesterday that he's in that same type of a deal, and he's like, I don't even know what I'm doing. They're just telling me to do this and do that, and they're not giving any kind of guidance. So that's kind of where I am different. I help authors self publish on your own. So I'm a self publishing partner. And real quick, what self publishing is, that's basically just kind of like with the vanity publisher where you pay them $10,000, $20,000. But with self publishing, you will usually establish your own company, like a publishing house, like Red Sky Press or Red Sky Publishing. And then you hire a cover designer, and then you hire a book designer to do the typesetting. And then you either set up the files yourself with different printers, or you hire a publishing consultant like myself who kind of handles all those pieces. So within Journeybound, we are full service self publishing partners. So we help an author from the beginning. So if you're an author, you don't know where to go, you've got a business, you want to market yourself, you're maybe a coach, a consultant, a trainer, you want to get your expertise out there. And you're like, Veronica, I don't even know how to write my book. Table of contents, outline, I need that help. Well, we've got that package in the beginning that we can help with an author. We can help throughout the process with our writing coach that can help them write their manuscript. And then from there, we move on to the publishing side, which that's my favorite part. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of torn between the publishing and the marketing side, because the marketing side, which we'll get into, that's fun too, because when an author sees that they're a bestseller, which by the way, Sabine, right now, you are number 2 in spiritual self help, number 3 in biographies and memoirs of women,
Ooh.
number 6 in self help and self esteem.
Oh wow, thank you.
Yes.
This is live. This interview right now as we speak, because yes, Veronica helped me with the publishing part, but right as we have this recording, we are running a campaign and we can go into it to really get this book become empowered to number 1. And right now we are already in number 2 and we just started today,
Yes.
right?
Yes, just started this morning, and I've never honestly seen it happen that fast. I think I told you, usually like day 2 or 3 of the promo, that's when you hit your bestseller. That's when I'll send you updated graphics. But so this is awesome. So congratulations, Sabine.
Thank you. That is amazing. And
I do the
yeah,
marketing work, but it comes down to the book, right? Like if the description is horrible and if you didn't write a good book and no one cares about your book, obviously your book is resonating with people and they care. It's converting, so that's great.
yeah. And to that point, number 1, those stories are amazing. They are just so inspiring, heartwarming, and motivational, really, to show that we can overcome anything and we can become empowered in the process. Now, one of the things that is interesting, because through my background, being have been an actress, but also director, producer. I produce a lot of shows, and storytelling is crucial in any endeavor, really, because
Yeah.
people really resonate with stories. But also putting on shows, meaning you want to get people's attention with the right scene. And I see that also in book writing, or in this case, in the stories, that people get right away into the story. It's like in a movie, right? When we have that, we want to be grabbed right away. And so I think that made this book very interesting, and I was able to infuse my knowledge and the background and help those ladies who brought me those stories to really write a captivating story, and that ended up in the book. So well, thank you for pointing that out. So
Yes.
it obviously resonated with people. um, but before we go a little bit further into the marketing part, I would be just curious to find out, how did you get to the point that you said, you know what, I'm starting my own business? Because I work with
Yeah.
entrepreneurs and people or some people who just want to start their own business. They are right at the beginning of their journey where I help them get established. So how was it with you? What was the process?
So I graduated college with a degree of bachelor's in animation. I got an associate's in graphic design and multimedia. So I did have a design background. But when I graduated, I didn't really want to move to California and work for Pixar or anything like that. I kind of changed what I wanted to do. And I started working some odd jobs. I became a realtor. I started my own real estate company, but then the market hit. The real estate market kind of tanked. I also had a son at the time. I still have a son. I have three kids. My son at the time, he was 3 years old. Actually, he was 3 years old, and it was just getting tougher and tougher to go to showings, right? Because people want to do their showings at night and on the weekends when they get off of work. And it's tough as a mom, as a wife, as a mother to handle that. So eventually, I decided that that wasn't for me, and just worked at a corporate job just to kind of make some money. But I always had an entrepreneurial mindset. My dad opened a business years ago. And so I saw him running his own business, and I'm like, I want to become a business owner one day. And I would listen to the podcast, and I had, three kids. I'm always driving to drop them off at daycare, and I didn't like dropping them off at daycare. My daughter one time had an author's tea at school, and I had to miss it. Well, I was a little late because my boss couldn't let me off work in time, right? And so that just kind of nagged at me and pulled at me. I'm like, I want to work from home. Um, the book that for me was the catalyst was the 4 Hour Work Week. I'm sure your audience is well versed on the 4 Hour Work Week. That's kind of what started me to think, what, I could start a business, and I could, hand off little things to virtual assistants, that won't cost an arm and a leg. And so it made me think about running a business as a little bit more attainable as opposed to starting like a brick and mortar business. And so things kind of fell in place for me. So I ended up, a colleague of mine started a book publishing business. And he and I were colleagues. He got let go. He's like, Veronica, do you want to, just kind of work like nights and weekends basically for me, designing books. I had no background in designing books, but he knew I had a design background just in college. And so that's kind of how I got started. I worked with him learning. I basically learned on the job. I learned how to design books and, the book publishing industry, the ins and the outs. Um, and so little by little, he always was a big proponent of me getting my own clients. So he's like, you can get your own clients. You don't have to just be underneath me. I want to help you grow as well. And little by little, I did. I got more and more clients, and it got to a point where I had to be like, thank you. I need to start my own company and really do this. And that was 15 years ago is when I started working with him. And I would say I started this full time without a job. Right? I like quit my job 10 years ago, my day job. Quit my job 10 years ago. I'm like, I'm going to go all in on this. And I mean, it's been amazing. I have not looked back. It's been awesome.
That is what you want to hear, not looking back. And so see that and appreciate that, because that's what I used to do and still
Yeah.
do to this day. When there's something that grabs you and that you really enjoy, then go full in. But here's
Yeah.
one thing that I heard between the lines. You made the decision gradually learning the skills, but then you knew this is what I wanted to do, and you had the skills under your belt
Yeah.
and were able to do that. And that's important too. Oftentimes people just want to change, give everything up, but don't have the skill set yet, or don't have a coach or mentor that can help them along the way. And so from what I see, your friend really was the mentor and coach who helped you in the process, right?
Yeah. Yeah. To this day, I consider him my first mentor. And I was just listening to a podcast. It's funny that you say this. I was just listening to a video podcast literally yesterday morning. And the guy that was being interviewed kind of said the same thing. He said, if you're trying to start a side hustle, have a goal to be that you earn 2 times your salary at your day job before you quit. I don't know if that's the magic number, but that would, make you feel a little bit more comfortable in taking the leap, but you have to take risks with anything.
Yeah, there are risks with anything. And you mentioned a brick and mortar business. Well, let me tell you, that was my first business. It was
Oh
a brick
yeah.
and mortar business, a performing arts school. Talking
Yeah.
about that, I mean, that investment was like tens of thousands of dollars. And then even if we expanded, another like six-figure investment just to build
Oh,
out
I
what
can
we
imagine.
needed for the school, right? So that's a huge investment, huge risk. Nowadays, with the information industry that we are in, literally, we can start something so inexpensively. But there's also an interesting part because when I work with some clients, they have a shoestring budget, meaning in some instances, zero. And I
Yeah.
said, look, if you want to start a business, that there are some investments. You have to have the right platform. You have to invest into a coach or learning the skills through a course or whatnot. There is investment that you have to do. So, and if that means work extra hours, put this aside, and then start, whatever, however it looks like for you, everybody is different. But don't think that zero investment because everything is online. There's still investment, but
Yeah.
it's way, way, way less than it used to be. So another question that I had for you, because oftentimes when we are taking that leap of faith and starting our business, it's great. But along the lines or along that time, there are probably some challenging situations. Can you think back on a time that you thought, oh my gosh, how can I get through that? And you were really down or paused or just were out of your waters. Can you think back on a time like that?
That's a good question. I've got a good mindset. I try to be positive with everything. So even if, I'd have a month where I'd be like, oh, this is a tight month. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my mortgage, help pay bills. Something always fell into place. So I always would try to be positive and being like, okay, I know God will provide, something will come into my way, some project will fall into my lap. Um, that being said, where I have struggled has been processes. And that's something that over the past year, my business grew dramatically last year, and it's even more so dramatically grown this year. And it was the systems that I've been putting into place, the onboarding, the systems, project management. So for me, a project management tool has been my missing piece, right? Like I've got tons of projects, book publishing projects, helping authors with websites, and then helping with book marketing. And up until recently, I'd been using a notebook to try to keep track of everything. And you can imagine how things can fall through the cracks with that. So just for me, the working on the systems has been a game changer for me in my business. And Asana is like my new best friend.
Now, let's talk about the marketing aspect of it. Because if you publish a book and you don't market it, and if you don't do it the right way, then it's just another book of millions that are somewhere lost on the shelf of
Yeah.
Amazon or wherever, right? When I published my first book 10 years ago, I didn't really do it for making sales. I just did it because I wanted to have something in my hand for my students. So there was a different objective when I did that, right? I just wanted to
Yeah.
have a physical book giving to my students, right? Here, secrets on how to succeed in showbiz. If you want to succeed, read this, right? And follow those guidelines. This time around, it was different because I knew there was a message that I needed to share, and I wanted to make this a successful book. Can you give our audience your background, why it's so important to do all those steps correctly? And if they want to be successful, what does that mean?
Well, so successful could be different for everyone. Success could just be you met one particular goal. So it really depends on the author. I have authors that come to me and they're like, I just want my book published. It's just a hobby project. I just want to be able to buy some for my kids. Okay, I can help you do that. Um, but then there's the authors who are using the book to leverage their business in some way, a coach, a consultant, an entrepreneur. When you publish that book, if no one sees it, well, first of all, you wasted your money, but you're kind of at a you're putting yourself at a disservice in other people, because success, it's the way I like to look at success for me is it's my duty to be successful. If I'm successful, I'm hiring a team, I'm supporting a project manager, I'm supporting assistants with their livelihood, I'm able to pay a landscaper, I'm supporting his family. So for me, success is kind of my duty. And I think an author, especially if they're using the book to leverage their business, should think of that as their duty because, like Sabine, if you didn't publish this book, there could be someone right now that's reading your book and they got some golden nugget out of it, or something that was like a kick in their rear to finally go and hit the gym or something. And then they end up losing weight. And this was their catalyst. Just like for me, the thinking, not thinking, the 4 Hour Work Week was my catalyst to really believe that I could become an entrepreneur and really take the risk and quit my job. So for an author, that's where I think they should see it as, that they really need to spread their word of their book out there to get it in the hands of as many people as possible. Because even if they just help save one life, or help improve one life, is it worth it for you?
I love what you said. Success is a duty. And how you explained it, it was so beautiful. And one thing, since you mentioned that it could change lives, I spoke with some of the co-authors who actually said, "Thank you so much because I was even able to work through that situation and I was healing myself,
Oh, wow.
telling the story."
That's
And
amazing.
one of them, Monica, she said, "This was the most healing process for me going through that." But you know what? There is even a greater ripple effect because she was sharing her story, and a family member was also uh, involved, and she was reading it, and she came back to Monica and saying, "Thank you so much for sharing that. I had no idea."
Oh, wow.
And guess what? They they were able to connect again, speak
Oh,
again, and are friends again. Isn't that something?
that's
I
awesome. I
mean,
love hearing
I
that.
just get goosebumps just
I
talking
know,
about
me
it.
too. That's awesome.
So yeah, so that's why marketing is so important. So if somebody said, "Well, I have a book," like a friend of mine, and then I said, "I referred her to you, and now you help her be more visible," right? So what does that mean? What does that entail?
Yeah, so the type of marketing that I suggest to my authors. So I have authors that have over 1,000 ratings on Amazon. One author, she's this close to getting 3,000 ratings on Amazon, and they're making 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, and way more than that. There's one author that spends $16,000 a month in ads. I believe he's doing Amazon ads. That just goes to show you how well his book is doing if he can afford $16,000 in an ad budget. But really, when you publish a book, I would first of all suggest you highly, highly have to get an ebook made. And Amazon is the big, elephant in the room. A lot of people hate Amazon, but my years, I used to put all of my authors' ebook in all the platforms. So back then it was Smashwords. I didn't do Smashwords. I put them directly, created Apple vendor accounts for them, the Nook account with Barnes and Noble, and I put their ebook in all available ebook retailers. But the only sales that they ever made for their ebook was Amazon. Amazon has this really cool feature where if you become exclusive with them with your ebook, so your paperback, you can be far and wide, you can sell it on your website, it doesn't matter. But if your ebook is exclusive to just the Kindle, Amazon lets you do a couple things. One is that you can have your book be in the Kindle Unlimited catalog, which, if everyone here on the call isn't familiar with it, high level, it's kind of like Audible, where you pay them $15 a month and you get one credit, that you can read, listen to an audiobook. With Kindle Unlimited, it's a subscription. You pay Amazon like $10.99 a month, and you can read up to 10 books at a time for free in their catalog. So by being exclusive, you can have your book also in that catalog. So someone can go buy your book for, let's just say, $9.99, or if they have Kindle Unlimited, they can go and read it for free. That's honestly where the magic is, because Kindle Unlimited readers, they're voracious readers. They love books, they're avid book readers, and they read fast, and they're really good about writing reviews. And if you are an author that has multiple books, and if all of your books are in the Kindle Unlimited store, if you run a promotion for, let's just say, one book, by the nature of the way it works, as a reader reads your book, they like you, they start following you, they see your other books, and then you'll start picking up traction on all of your other books just by the nature of running one promotion on your newest book, or maybe it's your first book. So with regard to the marketing, I would encourage an author to get an ebook published, and I would encourage them to be exclusive to Kindle, and for them to look into what are called free Kindle promotions. They can find YouTube, they can find it, on Google. It's very simple to work through a free Kindle promotion. And let's just say you're an author that's leveraging your book for your business. Put an amazing call to action in the beginning. Depending on the book, you might want it at the back, but for most authors who are leveraging their book for their business, they would want to put a call to action in the beginning. So a call to action, I mean, you have one, right? You're offering some kind of bonus, and you've got a QR code in the very beginning of the book. So let's say you run a free Kindle promotion and you've got 8,000 people downloading your book. I mean, would you be sad if you had 8,000 people getting your book in their hand on their ebook device? Then you've got the potential to have 8,000 people seeing that bonus, but there's also a huge number of people that had seen that bonus from the look inside feature. So, on Amazon, when you go look at a book, sometimes an author or a reader, maybe not, they don't want to buy it at the moment. But if they see your bonus and if it's interesting, right, like it's time management or how to, what to do with your morning for 5 minutes every morning, free bonus, I might scan the QR code with my phone just to get that bonus. And then now I'm in your drip system, I'm in your newsletter. So I might buy your book later down the line.
Thank you so much for giving all this information and those golden nuggets of how to publish and what's important. And you also mentioned that you actually have a free gift
I do.
for our listeners, a self-publishing guide. So if people want to get that gift, what is the link that they should
Yeah.
go to?
So you can go to afreegiftfromveronica.com. Nice and simple. A free gift from Veronica, and it's a self-publishing blueprint. And there is a little piece at the end that kind of dives into the marketing side as well.
Thank you so much, Veronica. You
Oh,
shared
this was
so
fun.
many great
This was fun.
things. It
Thank
was
you.
fun. Good, good. That's what it's all about, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'll make sure to put everything in the show notes. Once again, thank you for being here. And I wish
Pleasure.
you all the best. And most importantly, I know we have some more time to work together.
Yes. Well, looking forward to the rest of our journey, Sabine. Thank you, everyone.